on the Xbox 360. Going back to revisit this game because I actually got it. I think Walmart was selling these for $2. Wow, they're on clearance. What's interesting about this game is that it's a game I actually played all the Borderlands games in order basically. Borderlands 1 I actually got from the library when Borderlands 2 came out because I heard it was actually an excellent. Well, Borderlands 2 is actually supposed to be an excellent game. So I got this game from the library, gave it about a couple hours. I said, nah, whatever. We wasn't feeling it at the time. I guess I thought everything was too bullet spongy, and I wasn't too thrilled with the gunplay. But I'm giving it another chance since I've played Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel. In fact, Borderlands 2 is probably one of my favorite FPSs of the last generation. And I've played quite a few, so give me some credit here. I give the game a bit of credit, but I wanted to go back and revisit this first game, kind of give it another chance, since I at least have the experience of playing Borderlands 2 on the 360 and the PC. In fact, all of my videos on this channel are ripped from the PC version of Borderlands 2. Oh, according to some people, the original Borderlands PC port was not great by any stretch. I don't know what that means. That could mean a lot of things. It could mean that it's basically just the 360 version with a slightly better frame rate, I guess. I mean, sometimes the games would get converted from PC from consoles, and they aren't improvements basically on the console version. So people flip out, and of course, I mean, maybe the game wasn't properly set up for a keyboard mouse control, which is how people usually play first-person shooters on PC. I admit that I was playing Borderlands 2 with a gamepad because I had played it with an Xbox 360 and had a blast with it. So I'm not going to sit here and complain about the game in that sense. I know a lot of PC gamers are more comfortable playing with keyboard and mouse, so that might impact how you felt about the game, but I can't judge the PC version, so I won't. At least not until I get a chance to play it. But I'm not too thrilled with this game, at least so far. But like I said, I've pretty much just gone through the tutorial areas, and now I'm doing my first set of missions. In fact, let me mention that. There is no, what do you call that? Ambient AI, whatever they call that setup here that you see in the Borderlands sequels or the pre-sequel. I actually kind of prefer this layout. Well, it still jostles a little bit, but you don't have all that wasted screen on the right-hand side where your character usually is. I never even understood why that character was even on the right-hand side of the screen. But that's another issue. I only have 2 weapons so far. Yeah, here we go. For instance, the RF repeater goes right here. So these are my 2 pistols. Switch between them with the Y button, just like in Borderlands 2. This one's pretty basic. You can see the stats on the right-hand side. This one's pretty basic. It's got a bit more firepower. But this one's better in every way because this one's got a scope on it with the left stick. So that's going to make it a lot more useful than the other gun. So I'm going to get rid of this one. Actually, let me see if I can sell it. Let me get my rusty machine gun set up. There we go. That's my assault rifle. So let's pack these away. Let's see if I can sell this crap. Yeah, he's got me on this mission. Kill 5 Skags. It's pretty basic, so I won't need a research stream. I can just do that. Will be my research stream. Actually, let me check. I can't buy anything. I can't sell anything to him. Excuse me. But there'll be other vending machines around here, I assume. But like I said, early on, all I did was face a few bandits, and they weren't really a threat. Although they were, I'll admit, like I said, the auto aim in this game is not stellar. In Borderlands 2, I know people hate Borderlands. I prefer auto aiming in my console shooters because it gives me one less thing to fidget with. The auto aiming in this game is not that great, and you'll see that a bit later. In fact, I'm going to go to visit those Skags in just a second. Let me check everything else I have. So I've only collected 2 kinds of ammo so far. That's disappointing. Don't have my turret set up yet. I am playing as Roland the Soldier. I don't know if I think I just sat around and forgot to actually choose a character. Because I thought after the prologue, which of course is unskippable in the last 10 minutes, you are given the choice of a character to play as. And I think I was in the bathroom or something because I just couldn't be bothered. I don't sit through unskippable cutscenes if I can help it. So I ended up choosing Roland the Soldier. Anyone who's played Borderlands 2 might remember him as the dude behind Sanctuary. Spoiler alert, I guess he didn't die. I don't think anyone from this game died, but that's another issue entirely. I'm going the wrong way, aren't I? Yes, sorry. There's the icon right underneath my gun right there. Yeah, there it is. So you can see that little green flashing diamond there underneath my gun. That's the location of the objective, so let's head over there. Yeah, here they come. Yeah, now, okay, I remember this part. No, that ain't right. So we'll get to see the gunplay in just a moment. Again, it's not terrific. Like I said, I played Borderlands 2, so I now have a better point of reference now. Because when I first played the game, I was like, nah, it seems a bit too bullet spongy. It feels a bit too... What? The heck? Oh. Well, don't start with me, bro. Okay, so I'm taking out these guys, and... Again, I have to fidget a bit more with the aiming because it seems to be not as accurate as I would like. And obviously the complaint early in this... The complaint when this game first came out on people who didn't like it is that, yeah, it was too much about the numbers. You weren't missing because you couldn't hit a headshot. You were missing because the numbers weren't in your favor. The odds weren't in your favor. It's an action RPG, so it's got a transparent damage model. And without getting too complicated about it, it's just the game tells you the damage that your weapons are doing, and you'll always know how much damage you're doing at any given time, and you can use that to determine how much damage you're doing to an enemy at any particular bullet when it makes contact. But in Borderlands 2, you didn't really have to worry about that because it was whoops, got another mission then. But in Borderlands 2, you didn't have to worry about that. All you really just had to do was point and shoot. And if you wanted a stronger gun, you can use it. But in this game, so far, it seems to be really, really, really... really soft. It's kind of mushy. And you don't really... Again, as gunplay goes, Borderlands 2 is a very exciting game. The combination of the guns and the enemy AI and the gunplay and, basically, the rate of fire, the auto-aiming, which is incredibly important in games like this, especially if you're playing with a gamepad. All that stuff combined to make a game where the basics, the basic mechanics were actually well done in the case of Borderlands 2. But here, I guess they hadn't perfected it yet. I gotta get a repair kit from Zid, excuse me. I wasn't paying attention to the story, I was rambling. I'll go into more detail about all this nonsense later. In fact, if I do a rest stop video, the rest stop video will explain my complaints about the gunplay. Maybe it'll get better, but one thing about this game is that I pretty much know what I'm going to get based on the superior experience I got with Borderlands 2. Where do I get the repair kit? So it's somewhere around here, okay. But the idea was that I didn't play Borderlands 2 before playing this game. So I didn't have that reference. It was just me saying, yeah, not my thing. But now that I have a bit more experience with the series, I think I have a better idea about why this one works, why Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel work better than this game. I mean, obviously, here we go. Obviously, you have Borderlands pre-sequel doing a lot in terms of the traversal, the jumping, the Oz mechanic, with the oxygen and all that. You have the ground stomp gets thrown into the mix a bit later in the game. Actually, it shows up pretty early. But I really just think Borderlands 2 is just Borderlands 1 done right as far as the progression and the gunplay and the auto-aiming. And I think the auto-aiming is going to be a big deal for this game. Because it makes the gunplay more fluid. You spend less time, fiddling with your controls and more time just plugging bullets into people. In fact, let me show you what the controller scheme is. So you can adjust the sensitivity of your movement with the left stick, because if you want to aim up, down, left, or right, you need that. But again, in this game, in Borderlands 2, I didn't spend any time fidgeting with the control scheme. I didn't spend any time worrying about if I was making a headshot or not. But here I am, trying to play this game, and it's like, spending a bit more time than I would have liked, making minor adjustments just so I can shoot somebody. So it's not great. I won't say it's a game killer, but it makes the game less accessible, I think. I mean, arguably, the real reason why, the big reason why Halo and GoldenEye on the N64 did so well, Halo was on the Xbox One, the original Xbox. But the reason GoldenEye made such an impression on N64, and the reason why Halo made such an impression on the original Xbox was, you didn't have to spend a bunch of time worrying about shooting. You know, console players, people who weren't adept at using keyboard and mouse for gunplay, for first-person shooters, got, you know, the excitement of a first-person shooter without necessarily having to worry about, you know, that whole song and dance with manipulating a mouse and a keyboard. And I admit this. I've played Duke Nukem. I've played the original Doom. I've played what is it? Unreal Tournament. I've played these games. I played Painkiller. I have Painkiller on the on my laptop. Actually, it runs very well on my laptop. It's an old game. Of course, it's going to run well on my laptop. It's like, so I'm comfortable enough playing with keyboard and mouse, but I don't play the way a lot of PC users do, which is like a lot of, you know, PC users who have a lot of experience with keyboard and mouse have a lot of dexterity when it comes to using their four fingers for basic movement. I don't. I'm okay. I'm just not particularly good at moving my characters around in a first-person shooter with a keyboard and mouse. I'm not comfortable making twitchy movements with a keyboard, but I'm extremely comfortable doing it with this stick. And when I play games like Borderlands 2, I don't have to worry about it so much. Obtain a power coupling. So I gotta leave town. Huh? Just a second. Okay, so we gotta go east of here. Fine. So I'll give me a time for me to rant a bit more. Borderlands 2 is a game that proves that consoles can make decent first-person shooters. And the reason they can do it is because they tune their control schemes to be accessible as possible to people who are using gamepads. I am very comfortable playing with a gamepad because all I need is one thumb to move. I use my left stick, I can use my thumb, and I can use the right stick to move the camera around. And you take this for granted. I've been playing a lot of PS2 games recently. And you really take for granted the basics of a control scheme that requires you to move the controller or to move the camera with the right stick. Try playing an old N64 game like that, or try playing a PlayStation 1 game like that, where you had to move around a 3D space, and you had to invert the camera, you had to invert the control so that you can move like this. And thankfully, now that we're past the 360 era, I think developers got it right. It's easy for me to move around in a 3D space in games like Borderlands 2 and Just Cause 2. In fact, Just Cause 2 is a perfect example of the kind of game that proves that you don't need a keyboard and mouse to play a third-person action game. You can control the camera, you can control player movement rather intuitively. You don't have to spend a bunch of time worrying about it. And in this game, I'm able to move around reasonably well. Again, you can adjust the settings. Ooh, what's this? I don't have a zoom on this. That's going to be unfortunate. Probably got to switch this one out. Just a second. Where's my gun thing? There we go. Pardon my lack of vocabulary here. In fact, I probably need to train my brain on something slower and more contemplative like Journey or Flower. But we'll get to those videos later. For now, we're playing something that's a bit less cerebral. Yep, this thing's getting dumped. 10, yes, it's getting dumped. By the way, can I mark these guns? Let me try that, because I know I can do that in Borderlands 2. I can't mark them. That's unfortunate. I can compare them at least, which is good. Gotta have a loot comparison system. This part of the game's okay. In fact, I would argue it's easier to... We'll see as we go along if it's easier for me to do comparisons in this game than it was in Borderlands 2 and 3. Because in Borderlands 2 and 3, there's a lot of extra button presses you have to do to compare different guns. It seems to be a bit easier here. But you can't mark stuff as trash or treasure the way you could in Borderlands 2, which I really liked. Because you got a bunch of guns, and when you got them, you can just say, okay, this one, I'm going to sell it. This one, I'm going to keep this one. I'm not going to equip it. I'm going to mark it as treasure so that I don't sell it when the time comes for me to sell it. And of course, the Borderlands pre-sequel game had a system where you could only mark stuff as trash and then just sell it all. But there was no treasure system. So the logic was, you don't need to mark guns as treasure. You just need to mark them as trash and sell them all at once. But we'll get to that bit a bit later. But again, I mean, moving around in this game is relatively easy. You can jump, but you don't have to. You can crouch. That's a melee attack with the right stick. Crouch with the A button. Again, don't have to worry about a whole bunch of stuff. It's pretty easy to traverse in this game. It's just not particularly easy to shoot. So I'll see if things get better as I grow accustomed to this old auto-aiming system. But I can say for certain that the auto-aiming system is much, much better. It's much, much better in Borderlands 2. In fact, it's so much better that I kept playing the game for 50 hours after I got past the first hour. But in this game, you know, I played this game for a couple hours, I just wasn't feeling it. So again, yeah, the gunplay is not great, you know. Recoil is fine, you know, not great. Power on guns, well, I haven't gotten a really powerful gun yet. We'll get to the assault rifle here in a second. See, again, it's kind of hard to aim with these. It's kind of hard to aim with a gun like this. So I looked on the iron sights with the left trigger like this. Which I pretty much need to do, because apparently shooting from the hip isn't all that effective. At least with the gamepad. And let me at least confirm what weight. Sit. Because you'll be spending a lot of time early in the game shooting down Skags and regular bandits. Just like in the first game. That's like in Borderlands 2, but again, I think Borderlands 2 had much better AI, and a better cover mechanics, and more importantly, better aiming. So let me go to that option there, game options. Yes, there's an aim assist here. Imagine playing this game without the aim assist. Because, I mean, the auto aim in this game isn't that great anyway. So that's kind of unfortunate. But again, Borderlands 2 fixed that. You don't spend any time worrying about it. Of course, I think Borderlands 2 did a better job of giving you better loot early in the game. Okay. So, which way am I going? Here we go. There we go. So I don't have to press the X button. I can just use the right stick. Press on the right stick for the melee attack. Well, I think when I get to level 3 or 4, I'll end up getting the turrets, and I'll make things a bit more interesting. But again, in Borderlands 2, it didn't matter who you chose. The gunplay was worth it. And that's certainly true in the pre-sequel. So I almost feel like if they went back and fixed Borderlands 1, like did a Borderlands 1.5 with a better auto-aim, maybe the game would be better. Maybe the game would be more playable. We'll find out later. But yeah, I mean, come on. I paid $2 for this, so I think it's probably worth it. Just to kind of revisit it, get my thoughts together. But so far, I mean, after playing this, you know, some sequels, you know, they're a big letdown. This game's appeal is pretty much based on how good is the gunplay. Is it stand on it? It doesn't have to be as good as Borderlands 2. It just has to kind of stand on its own. And I'm not so sure it does. But like I said, we'll get there in a moment. What's that? Oh, that's a shop. That's what's that money bag for? Okay, so we're headed down the road here, following that green beaker right there. See if we can get ourselves a treasure objective. Power coupling has been found, and there's a red dot over there, so someone's found me. Oh, there we go. Sit down, bro. Oh! We got a problem. Oh, someone else is around here. God darn it. I need to pay attention. Kind of slow to reload, but okay, we good? That's all of them, I think. Okay, that's how I sprint with the pressing on the left stick. Press on the right to do the melee. Press on the left to sprint. That's fine. Again, it's actually this is probably a good point to make a comparison. There's another Skag hole in here. That's why I got attacked and ambushed. I should probably mention this. It's a lot easier for me to press on the left and right stick with a 360 controller than it is on a PS3 controller. I never understood that. PS3 controller is fine, but I was playing Borderlands pre-sequel on the PS3, and it felt kind of mushy. Whereas here, the buttons are... I mean, this is a third-party 360 controller. But the 360 controller, like, it's nice and tight. So it's easier for me to do things like zooming in and, you know, click... Anything that requires me to do a click stick motion seems to be a bit easier for me on a 360. I can play, you know, Borderlands 2 or Borderlands pre-sequel on the insta-health. Okay, so yeah, I can play Borderlands 3 or Borderlands pre-sequel on the PS3. I have a few more videos coming up about that. But I had to spend about 15 minutes just kind of reconfiguring my brain because I've been playing Borderlands 2 on the PC and on the 360 using a 360 gamepad. So it felt weird for me to go to pick up a PS3 controller and have to make that mental adjustment. And you can do it, but If you ask me which controller I prefer for Borderlands, I kind of prefer the 360 controller. It's just easier for me to do stuff. It's easier for me to use the sticks on this thing. But I was able to play Bioshock Infinite, and I was able to play, what is it? And I was able to play Borderlands on, or Borderlands pre-sequel on it. So you can do either way. You can also remap the PS3 controllers a bit to your liking, but I guess again, if I had the choice, both games are worth the same amount of money. I think the performance is equal pretty much between the two consoles, 360 and PS3. I mean, frame rates, I believe, are about locked at 30 in both cases. I think the resolution is 720p in both cases, so you're pretty much getting the same game. I just think the 360 controls a bit better. And of course, if you're playing on PC, none of that matters. You can adjust the settings as you like. And I usually play with a gamepad anyway. But if you want to play with a keyboard and mouse, that might be the way to go. In fact, it's the only way to go because you can't play it on a console with a keyboard and mouse. So forget I said anything. In this game, unfortunately, apparently the mouse, I'll check and see what the problems were. I don't know if it was the mouse. Because I can imagine that if a PC gamer is complaining about a console port, they're either complaining about a lack of features, a mediocre frame rate, or bad keyboard mouse control. As in, not properly tuned, something like that. Or maybe the inability to adjust your setup. Although I should mention in passing, I was gonna make a video of a game called Divinity Ego Draconis, Divinity 2, and I can't play it on the PC because I can't use a gamepad with it. It's a hard game too, but it's a game that requires a keyboard and mouse to play on the PC. But I played it on the 360 before, but the 360 version is buggy as crap. I mean, doors won't open in that game. I mean, stuff like that. I mean, quest lines can't be completed because, characters don't appear. Dialogue bits don't appear. Well, I probably need to go. Yeah, sorry, I forgot to take this back. I'm wasting a bunch of time here. But I mean, that's a game that's more broken than Skyrim, and that's saying something. Because I mean, Skyrim's games, the Bethesda games are notorious for being not unplayable, but being crash prone. And the 360 version of Divinity 2 is even worse. I mean, you're making multiple saves in Divinity 2. You're making multiple saves in Bethesda games because you're afraid, game's gonna crash when you're just walking around. Divinity 2, I mean, that game's hard, and the console version is so poorly put together that you might not get out of the first area, if the doors won't open, or the conversation trees don't load because some buggy crap, Eurojank. Confirmed, I guess. But that's the kind of game where, if I could play on PC with a controller, it'd be fine. Because apparently the PC version has fewer bugs, but this is ridiculous. So I'm stuck. I guess I could play the game and just kind of hope I can get around it. Because I kind of like Divinity 2, but janky as it is. I gotta purchase a shield, huh? So it made me waste money on a shield, huh? Oh well. That's where I can sell stuff. So I can sell some of these weapons I'm not using. Sure. Okay, so I kept my equipped weapons. I can use the money to buy a shield. Got about 9 minutes left on this video, I think. So I'll just get a regular one. It doesn't matter at this point. It was twice as expensive, so I don't see the point of that. I mean, it's not that much stronger than what I have. So I'll just get whatever. Bye. So let's equip it and turn in. So I killed the Skags and got myself a shield. I think we did all right. I guess I need to get my thoughts together on some of these Borderlands games as I play. Let me just turn in. Wait, I forgot to actually equip the shield. Just a second. Or maybe I did. Yeah, I did. I wasn't wearing a shield. It just, yeah. Now I have a shield. Oh. So the shield absorbs damage first, and then when the shield is depleted, I start taking life point damage. I need some health, dude. Help me out. Yeah, I leveled up to level 3. Kill bandits, return to Zed. Okay, so I guess we'll do that later. I think this is where I tapped out because I didn't like killing those guys. This felt lame. That's right. When I level up, I get all my energy back. I get all my shields back and all my health back. Because video games. Well, I'm not going to be able to finish this before I run out of time, so... I guess while I make it to... Well, darn it. Let me do a quick check. Yeah, I'm not going to get there in time. Okay, so I'll start another video then. I'll be fine. Let me just check on a few things. So I'll end the video with some housekeeping. I'm going to give this game another hour to kind of get its act together. Because it's not a bad game. It's just I'm very disappointed in how the gunplay's turned out so far. Do I have that turret yet? No, I'm going to get that at level 4, I suppose. Alright, I only have one mission. Check out the map. It's over there. There's a transition to another area behind the camp. There's a bounty board over there. I guess I can go over the bounty board, but it's kind of far away. That kind of sucks. No, whatever. But again, the visuals aren't that great here. I mean, you can tell. You can definitely tell that this game's really rough compared to the sequels, obviously. But hey, it looks okay. I mean, the hyper cell shaded design. I think they were using some kind of post-processing on the engine, the Willow engine or whatever. I thought they were using Unreal, but I guess they called it Willow. I don't know. But the idea is that they did this post-processing to give this game to make this low poly look more appealing, I guess. You know, make it look more like a comic book, I suppose. But again, as a low polygon game, it works. It looks extremely good, all things considered. That's probably one thing this game has on, you know, prettier looking games like. I'm sure you can think of some. Like, just to me, games like Deus Ex, Human Revolution, and Borderlands 2, they kind of look better in low resolutions than other games do. Like Shadow of Mordor, lots of detail in that game. Not a particularly pretty looking game, but you know, it was made to higher specs. This game was made pretty much for console specs, and like I said, it runs reasonably well. It runs at 30 FPS most of the time so far, anyway. Yeah, I think the bandits are up here, but we're gonna end up stopping this video. So, like I said, I'll just do some more housekeeping for a second.